Hi folks, my name is Franco Tanelli, and in today's program I'm going to talk and demonstrate some high tenor notes. I'm going to explain some challenges and you may find some solutions. The arias I'm going to take are Lucevano le stelle, Celeste Aida, La fleur que tu m'avais jetée, Lucevano le stelle, Recondita armonia, La donna immobile, Salut de mer chaste pure, Che gelida manina, Di quella pira. So we're going from A, B flat, B, and eventually to C. Before I go to that, you might notice probably, if you're really a opera freak, you notice that when you're checking out the official performances, Metropolitan and La Scala and some other great theaters, you may find that almost all perform them a semitone lower. Arias like Che gelida manina, which is supposed to be in a high C, is basically half a tone lower. It's not that some second-class artists do that. I never heard, actually, myself, Luciano Pavarotti performed in a real key in Metropolitan, or even Jussi Björling. That is an interesting moment, and I'm going to talk about why. In the 19th century, when great composers like Verdi, Donizetti wrote their compositions and operas, the camera tone height was 432. You can hear that. Later on, and today, the camera tone was established as 440, and it is a standard now not to go over this standard. Now, some musicians, not singers, note about that, musicians, they say, wow, what's the difference? It's less than a quarter tone. But you can check it out. It's not less than quarter tone. It's basically almost a half a tone higher. If, of course, you compare 432 to 448, which is practiced a lot in Europe, especially in Austria. You have to take into consideration that Maestro Verdi was absolutely adamant and even refused to conduct one of his operas when the orchestra was tuned higher than the standard. Because Verdi perfectly knows that this tuning can affect singer's performance, and especially if it's a very high row. I mean, you can be a great Rodolfo, for example, in one opera company that tunes it well, and if you go to the Austria, for example, and they tune it higher, you may basically crack your voice. They knew that. Even Toscanini, who never, we know, was in big love with singers, he always considered himself indulgent and stuff. He also followed that principle and always made sure that the tuning is correct. Some artists, of course, powerful artists, make it even in their contracts, making sure that the tune is correct. All the arias you hear were recorded in a standard 440. So they are in a standard 440. And this is already higher than original. But this is the highest we can take. If the tune goes really to 448, for some roles like Manrico and Rodolfo, it becomes very, very difficult to sing. Now, let's be honest, a lot of tenors are obsessed with high notes, especially high Cs. I mean, it's like a challenging point and check-out point if you're a real tenor. But very few singers, of course experienced singers know that, but very few inexperienced singers know that not every high C is as challenging as some Bs and some B flats. You can ask why. Well, it depends on many things. It depends how your high note is supposed to be taken. dramatically, lyrically. What follows before that? How tired you are before you're taking this high note in real time aria. These all components are very important. That's why, for example, for me personally, for many tenors that I know, to take Faust's high C, Salut de mer au chastepied, où se devine la présence, it's a lot easier than to take B flat in Celeste Aida, because B flat in Celeste Aida is very challenging for its dramatic quality, plus extremely tiresome vocal passages coming before that. And believe me or not, there were instances, it's one of the rarest opera, where tenors leave after they sing Celeste Aida and they get booed if they don't do it well. This is very challenging, B flat, for many reasons. All the high notes, of course, are challenging, but I'm just pointing out to you that don't be just obsessed with high C, because high C is definitely a high note, but some B flats are much more difficult. Now, if we get here, we're starting with A, which is from Luciamo alle Stelle, Cavaradossi, which is a lyrico drammatico. It's a lyrico drammatico. Some good lyric tenors can sing that. Some dramatic tenors sing actually this role. But it's actually a lyrico drammatico. Then Aida, it's heroic. Carmen is lyrico drammatico. Cavaradossi is lyrico drammatico. La Donna Mobile is lyrico. And Faust is lyrico or even ultra lyrico. Rodolfo is lyrico. And Manrico is heroic. So we see all of these high notes are coming from different types of tenor. So we have to take into consideration this when we sing these high notes. Let's listen and start with the lowest and go to the high C's from Faust, Rodolfo, and finally Manrico's Di quella pira. As you may notice, all the arias were sung in chiaroscuro, no falsetto, no head voice, a chiaroscuro tone, all of them. So in order to sing those high notes, of course, I assume that you are professional already, and you're just trying to handle those very, very difficult arias. If you're really a student on the very beginning level, don't approach them. As I told you before, the most important thing is definitely natural placement, great support, and the tip, as I mentioned before, is when you sing high notes, try to lean with the whole body upon. Of course, the diaphragm has to lean upon, it has to oppose the energy of support in order to balance it. So you can just, go a little bit down, like on the high note, any high note, and go down. Then also make sure that your face is a total idiot. Okay, why I'm saying that? Those who watch my programs know that the Beniamino Gili suggested, while singing high notes, make yourself a redneck simpleton. That's his own words. Now, if you really relax, what's going to happen if you're really relaxed? We're using a lot of unnecessary muscles because of nervosity, because of the whole tension, because of the parallel tension in our body. So when we sing the high note, we activate a lot of muscles that are really are not necessary to be activated. But the problem, we don't know how to deactivate them without losing support. So you have to really try to put it totally on the support without any tension in your jaw. And as I told you, you have to exaggeratedly relax your face. And then you'll have a problem, because you'll be a little bit confused. Oh, then how can I sing the high note? I used to hold it here. Now, exactly, you used to hold it here or here. You have to leave it. It's like, your cane. You're not handicapped anymore. Put it away. But you can lose a little balance. So, of course, you have to go through this experience and try it a couple of times. If you believe me, if you really can do it, and again, of course, I'm not suggesting that you're just a beginning student, you tried this arias. This is for professionals. But even for professionals, it's very tough. So try it in a very, very relaxed way, each of the phrase, and try to put it all on the support, try to be in front of the mirror, and try not to just stare at the mirror, but try to watch yourself, what you're doing. Try to be a third person. Thank you very much. It was Franco Tonelli, and until next time.